Yeah, it
last
felt like
night.
there was I don't know, planes flying over all night. Even it was crazy.
Definitely interrupted my sleep cycle.
Yeah,
Although I got to tell you, in Central Oregon, man, after a windstorm and some rain like that, how about the smell of juniper? It's staggering. It stops you in your tracks.
and the blue skies.
Oh, well, I was in the hot tub early, looking at the North Star, the Big Dipper, and I was
You are the Big Dipper.
I am the Big Dipper. And I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention, all you cycle watchers. The first new moon of the year, Matt,
Yes.
and that is today. And in general, the book that I've read before, The Idiot and the Moon. In general, new moons you want to sell, full moons you want to buy. Risk or rinse, repeat. Listen, I pay no attention other than to maybe add value to something when other things line up with my already opinionated position on the chart.
Opinionated position.
Well, yeah, everybody's got to have an opinion.
Absolutely.
But I thought this was interesting, though, in this article about the flow of the moon and the planets.
Yeah.
And the words from John O'Donohue on this new beginning with this new moon. And let me just bring it up because I thought they were wonderful. I'm going to get rid of me and just read it, right? Once the soul awakens, the search begins and you can never go back. So true for today, right? So many things that we are never going back to. From then on, you are inflamed with a special longing that will never again let you linger in the lowlands of complacency and partial fulfillment. The eternal makes you urgent. You are loath to let compromise or the threat of danger hold you back from striving toward the summit of fulfillment. Matt, thought those were wonderful words.
Or you could translate it like Goggins does.
Oh, please enlighten me on what Goggins would say.
Goggins would say, "Just get tough, bitch."
Right? Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up and get to it. Exactly.
Absolutely, dude. I just love the we are never going back to where we were. And El Trumpetente, I will tell you this, and I've said it before, he flipped the apple cart. There are so many things that are so bright on the radar now that the Biden administration can come in, but I got to tell you, with the light illuminated, and now just a Wall Street Journal article today about Iran and their nuclear ambitions and more optics and photographs from satellites of them pursuing this. Bolton, who had been a huge Trump hater, right, but now warning the Biden administration. China, the list goes on of things that Trump has for sure brought the spotlight on. And I don't think any of this shit goes back into the closet the way that they had been churning along for at least a decade and a half.
Well, it's the invisible enemies always, Bob. I mean, do I need to replay this for you? The 9/11, invisible enemy of, these terrorists and, they knew about it. They knew that these guys were in the cell drawing pictures of the Twin Towers crashing, yet they didn't do anything about it. They knew that they would open the Capitol building this time and let it out. They knew that Wuhan let out the virus and spread it across the world. All this stuff, all these invisible enemies, ISIS, etc., Al Qaeda, they all disappear, and they're all tactics of the deep, dark state of the leftist government. Bolton is a straight out warmonger. He always was, and that's why he was at conflict with Trump. Trump was like, we don't need to these guys are just nothing but saber rattlers. So now we're gonna fade out COVID over the next few months. We'll fade it away. That'll go away, and we'll start, blaming Trump and Iran and the stuff that he didn't do, because this is the whole narrative. This narrative is so flipped right now, and they're gonna, even when Trump's gone, they'll blame everything on him. They'll blame the other side. Blame. It's the blame game now. It's insane. It's the insane blame game.
Yeah, you know what? I like you, Matt. I'm so sick of it. and all I can think about is a hot toddy. And today is National Hot Toddy Day. All right, and I've read a ton of recipes, and my passed away father-in-law, rest his soul, had a hot toddy recipe that I have never seen in print anywhere. And so all of these are mostly a bourbon or a rye with lemon and honey, hot. But he, proud Canadian military tank commander, served in Korea, and his hot toddy was bourbon and beef consomme with maybe a little cinnamon stick to stir.
Yeah.
Beef broth with bourbon. Now,
So you
Matt, you just made a face that tell me about your initial reaction. I'm talking so nobody can see your face. I'm going to stop talking. Please say something and then give me your faces about a hot toddy.
It wasn't so much the hot, like this, like it's the savory part that you added in there, the beef broth. I was like,
As I said, I have never, ever come across the recipe, but I'm telling you, I spent more than a few frigid weekends in Northern Ontario. Used to have a house up in the Halliburton area. And man, you want to talk about getting cold, man. It gets cold north.
Yeah. So it's basically like you've made some vegetable soup without the vegetables, and then you throw in the booze. It sounds like to me.
Royal Canadian, whatever. Canadian. What is it?
You need to sweeten up the savory without the which vegetables do, by the way, also, but you just don't get buzzed.
Hey, listen to me. I'm just telling you right now, if you're going to celebrate a hot toddy day, please do a taste test. Share it with us what you thought. You could go regular bourbon with honey and lemon. That's fine. That's what everybody does. Or you can step it up a notch and get some beef consomme.
Yep.
Heat it. Hit it with some bourbon, a little cinnamon stick. You could even take a sprig of rosemary, right? And give it a stir with some rosemary. Forget about it. I'm telling you, you come in from the ice rink, and that's the beautiful thing about the Canadian North, right? You come in from the pond hockey, right?
Or ice fishing.
Ice fishing, I never really understood that one, I'll tell you that. But
well, don't you watch Letterkenny?
I've watched some of it. And we got a couple hard nose coming from once we get the price discovery. We have some hard nose coming, Matt, when we start talking about this price discovery.
Hey, Bob, before we start talking about price discovery, I'm going to just point out that, because I'm going to talk a little price discovery here, that we are now on Spotify. We're waiting still on Apple Podcasts because they take forever to approve you. But we've got about a dozen shows over the last 2 months that we've now put live on Spotify. And the reason I bring that up is I think we're the reason that Spotify is hitting an all-time high again today. And I just want to point out that Market Vitals, the news hit the wire today that Market Vitals is on Spotify, has been for 2 weeks. And the last week has really benefited from this news. So we have taken the stock to all-time highs here at 371 a share. We traded today. We're off a little bit. So I just want to make sure that people take profits as we're up another 6% today on Market Vitals. Continued success for the world of traders. So I just want to throw that out there.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Listen, I will post pictures of some hot toddies in celebration of us going into the audio digital world. Anyway, Sunspot, from our subscriber base, Sunspot activity is important. No shit, man. I mean, the Sunspot shit's for real, dude.
Yeah. And there's more now than we've had in hundreds of years. Like in typical big government fashion, they have been touting climate change, right? Just like they did in the 70s when we were supposedly climate changing to the cold. And then we reversed and we got warm again as cycles happen. And now it's climate change. We're torching the country. We're torching it. It's so hot. Everything's burning. Well, it's going to get, guess what? Sunspots, to Warren's point, is going to bring back colder temperatures. We'll all be dead, but you know what? Woolly mammoths got frozen in their tracks. I think that comes before we all inflame and and blow up from no.
Hey,
from
on the
nothing but
CO2 emissions
CO2.
front, you got to watch the documentary "Kiss the Ground."
Yeah.
Just a fantastic doc around some things that are dear to my heart, like soil health. Anyway, that's a whole nother sec. Just watch it. Kiss the ground.
Kiss the ground.
Anyway, Matt, I wanted to. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but the fangs are all up a little bit today. But this what we talked about, the reaction and people saying, you know what, we will take action against people impinging on free speech. And this was from the Florida governor saying that they're going to divest state funds from Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Twitter.
So red states are going to sell Google and Facebook.
No, they're just not going to invest in them. And, you know, the money, you follow the money, Matt.
But I'm saying, are they going to sell their positions that they're currently holding?
That's what this implies anyway. I'm not sure about it, but, you know, that's what it implies for sure.
Political rhetoric.
All I'm saying is that people get to vote. Most, you know, you get to go to the poll and vote and hope you don't have a hanging Chad or a Dominion system counting your vote. But the biggest vote that you can have and has always been is with your pocketbook, with your money. Yep. Like, you know, I just downloaded the Signal, not the stock that went from 50 cents to $72.
And back to
I just downloaded the app. You know, these are this other stuff. You know, you act like a schmuck and people they react to it with their pocketbook. Anyway, the last thing on free speech, Matt, is this: like, we are full on crazy times here in the Pacific Northwest. We can burn books. Like,
by the way, let's set this up a little bit. Paul's bookstore is really a fine, in my opinion, one of the finest independent bookstores still remaining in the country.
Dude, it is a treasure. It is a treasure for sure.
I mean, I love going into their stacks. They actually have stacks, right? On, you know, different multiple levels of books, almost like you're in a library, you know, in a university setting. And you've had these, you know, nut jobs outside, these Antifa fucks out there, you know, chanting at a journalist who has been honestly exposing the truth. I mean, he just reports that what nobody else is, this Andy No. And he's got a book about what Antifa is all about. And they don't want people to know because it's the truth. They don't like the truth getting out, yet they preach truth and anarchy and blah, blah, blah. God, these people need to be just shoved back into the genie, but it's out of the bottle.
All right, Matt, let's talk price discovery. And a couple of things that we want to cover today are the dollar and interest rates. Been some fresh posts here today about, let's start with the interest rates. Fresh posts about German government debt. I mean, they got like 10 and 20-year yields now going negative almost 1%. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, so, you know, we'll pay you to take your money out of the bank. Okay.
What? I need somebody to pay me. I'll watch their money. Let me watch your money.
Yeah, so let's look at this. The 10-year real quick on the price studies. Bob hit a new high recently here of 1189. This is just a 30-minute chart. So we're just looking at the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I was looking at a big picture on the interest rates here, and we've actually, this is a weekly chart. So we went from short-term nature to long-term. And again, we've had now a significant rally, I'd say back to August in the interest rates that has been on, and that has shown itself in the bonds. The bonds have been getting schmeezed, as we've talked about, and I think there's some room to go there. And let me just bring up the ZB real quick. But I think, this is, again, a weekly chart. So just kind of, it should show the same mirrored effect, just going the other way. And I think we will trade back to the, low to mid 150s here, possibly even this year. If we get some, major news strife, financial wars continue as we were seeing them, I think we could pull back quite severely, which in your case, talking about interest rates, we are now back over 1% on the 10-year, which, it took a while for us to kind of stay under that 1%, but we're sitting at 1 point, let's call it, we hit 1.2%, and we're back solidly above it here. And I think that any dips here, or any any rallies in the bonds can be sold. So just keep that on the front and center. And then alongside of that, the euro, to me, and we talked about this last week, there's a couple interesting things going on there, but the euro has a number of things that have, to me, kind of look like it's rolling over here a little bit again. This is the first time it's done it really since the summer. And I would just say that it's, the euro, again, this is a longer term weekly chart. But if we look at the 15-minute chart, Bob, I mean, it's really kind of gotten hammered the last few weeks. Let me give you a little bit broader timeline. But the high was 123.70. And, we're trading now at the lows now for the last 2 weeks back down here at 121.50 ish. And, this is not a bullish chart at all. Short term and or long term now, I would say, is beginning to roll over even on the weekly.
The other thing too, Matt, is just from a logic equation. How over time do you have to pay money to hold euros and you get money to hold dollars? How is that fundamentally negative for the dollar? How is that story possibly negative for the dollar?
It's not, and they've kind of, I think, again, the political side of this kind of drove the euro higher into the end of the year, just because it was, again, just look at the trends. I mean, we bottomed last, November here at 116 or so, and we rallied all the way up to 123. But now that the political action and, Biden's taking over, yada, yada, I think this is done again. Now we got to get the power back to the dollar, and the saber rattling, et cetera, is just going to hurt the euro going forward, because nothing is good over there, and fundamentals don't matter ever, except for the times they do. But right now, I think that the pressure is going to continue to be on Euroland. I mean, it's a mess over there. It's a total mess. If you think politically we're a mess, it's even worse in Europe. It's even worse in China. And that's the other thing, you have to keep your head up and continue thinking that there's still more than half the people in this country that do not agree with most of the things that these people are talking about instituting. So this doesn't go away, and you're not going to be able to use thug mentality to buy votes from the Republicans going forward. That is the thing that these people don't realize. People aren't going to change their votes because they're the work. And again, unless something drastically, a Republican is injured, threatened, killed, I'm just going to throw it out there. If these things happen, these people will be crushed again. I mean, it's, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that they're, watching Schumer yesterday with his insurgency speech again, the rhetoric is off the hook. I mean, I can't deal with it. I can't deal with I've never enjoyed the lies of government to begin with, and now it's worse than ever. It's just worse than ever, Bob.
All right, man. Let me share my euro chart, because it's pretty interesting to me here. The difference in the two fractals, the weekly, which here looks like it's fully rolled over. Obviously, we have 2 more days left in the trade day. This isn't crypto land, so we will close on Friday and not open back up until Sunday night. But last week, they put in a pretty darn good hammer top on the weekly. This week, we look like we want to close out of up momentum on this weekly. That number coming in at 122.05. So only close below 122.05 is a sign that this thing very possibly has run its course. I will say this, though. When I fractal out to the monthly, this still is, moonshot territory to me. And so this is the difference here. Especially if you look at the lows that we talked about, or you just talked about, or this is actually goes back to March of 20, right? This low down about 105. And if you look at this as being a flag, we still got more room to test at least these highs at 125 on the monthly. Obviously, Matt, one time frame leads into the next, right? And so weakness on this weekly, if we continue the weakness, it would at least go check out this monthly momentum level at 119.62, and then see where this pans out. We're getting, we're only halfway through this month, so there's a ton of time left for these charts to evolve. But for sure, the monthly and the weekly telling it just kind of a little bit divergent story. So that's what I'm keying on here. I'm keying on playing more weakness, especially if we close out of up momentum this week. and we'll see what the market wants to do if that happens around that 119 level. Again, these levels, Matt, I know you talk about your levels, the value ranges, the points of control. These are places where the argument takes place, right? In the pit, it used to be where the actual level of noise raised. There's an argument there because there's bidders, buyers and sellers willing to take positions and actually engage in the market. The best bid and the best offer gets vocalized, and everybody else gets to shut the fuck up. And I wish so much was. I just wish that was more representative in life. I've actually talked about this in. I think what really needs to happen in social media is if you really want to have a town debate or a square where people present ideas, how about you have a with argument, an against argument, and some sort of mediation that pulls the best arguments for both sides to the top. So me and you, as a consumer of the content, could read and just digest each side and maybe come up to a more educated.
Hey, Bob, we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to repress anything opposite of whatever.
Exactly. We'll have one worldview. Let's give peace a chance here.
And it's not your view, but it's one worldview.
Exactly.
So, let's jump off of politics. Let's talk a little bit about the EV space. Plug Power is now looking at basically a double in a week, and I've put this on my gotta be short, and it's not just this last week, but it's also here's the weekly, but
yeah, Matt, but they signed a deal with Renault Car Company, that powerhouse in the automotive space,
which doesn't sell any cars, and their former CEO is on the lam and in jail and on the run. Okay, yeah, great company to do a deal with. Renault, the Frenchies don't make cars that people want to drive. Give me a freaking break. Anyways, so but I also want to point out that this stock has been around and was a piece of shit back in the late 90s when it traded upwards to 1600. So you want to see what reverse splits do to a company that still is worth $28 billion. At one time, this company was worth, 20 times this. So it was worth $560 billion back in at that time frame. So that's all I have to say, people. This is mere blip, and if you again pull it back, we've been going parabolic, and you can see it as clear as day. You see it in the daily, you see it in the weekly. Again, it doesn't mean it can't go higher, but to me, when you see a 10x, again, the 10x rule is in play here. We were $7, we were $4 back in February. So 1 year ago. So we've done, more of 15x, 16, 17, almost 20x from a year ago, not even a year ago. So folks, if you're chasing this shit at this point and you're buying the story and the news, God bless you. And I wish you well. You want to see what's going to happen to it? Look at the fools on Signal. We talked about this earlier in the show today. This is what happens, people. If you don't understand the way markets work, Signal, this is not the company that has the new, social media platform. But guess what? It went from 20 cents to $71, and today it's back to 8s. It actually dipped down to the 5s again. It's a zero. This company is worth nothing. Why are you people trading this? I don't get it. Help yourself. I can't help you.
Right on, Matt. I know we've highlighted the grains, Matt, and they are still a great place to trade. I want to just share the misery, and it is misery, of my friends that, and I've stayed away from this hog chart, this hog market, and this is the weekly and big fat value range out of it. Right back into it. I said this to this group, this thing is just flatlined. It's just range trading, man. Quit thinking that there's a breakout when no breakout sustains itself longer than a day.
Right.
And, I know from your value expertise, it's stuck in the mud. Now, that's not saying there isn't money to be made here trading in this $5 range that has been established by this profile on the weekly. But the talk of, 80 and 90 cents, or the talk of 50 or 40 cents, there's nothing to it right now. And sometimes, that's the most important thing as a trader, Matt, is understanding the dynamic of whatever you're looking at and trading. Just like you pointed out in Plug, the thing has gone full on parabolic. There's no parabolicness about this hog chart, right? And this could be the hogs, it could be IBM, it could be anything. These are two very different chart setups, right? And so you need to trade and plan accordingly. Trade the chart that's in front of you, not the chart that you wish it was,
Right.
or the story that you wish it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Story stocks are for 2-year-olds.
All right, Matt, what else?
Bob, it's
I know that you said it, and I agree with you that we need to get to February 1st. Everybody was like, after the election.
Well, I always say,
after after that, after this. I mean, I think we need a week outside of Biden in the basement at the White House before we can.
Yeah, the basement in Delaware is not playing well right now. And, I guess what I see is that, I see 3,800 on the spoos, and I've seen this now for a week, and I keep saying this until we move. It's kind of like, this is kind of a microcosm of your hog chart, right?
Absolutely.
We're not going anywhere. It's 3780 to 3820, that 40-point range, although we've dipped above and below it barely 2 times, once above, once below. It's basically 3780. You got to get below it on a close. We got below it yesterday, but that was midday, and then we came back into it. So that's why closing prices continue to always trump intraday prices. You have to have a close, and I usually want to see a couple days below a key level before I get excited. If it's real, I got plenty of time. If it's fake, I'm not going to get shaken out. So I like to wait 2 or 3 days, and we're not seeing anything right now that is fresh. And unfortunately, everything is focused on impeachment and garbage noise. And, it's all politics. It's almost like business has stopped right now in so many layers. And I think a lot of people are concerned, and I start to see it in the rhetoric in the mainstream about, a new variant of the invisible enemy, COVID, right? I mean, okay, so does that mean that once Biden is in, he is going to shut us down for another 100 days? He talked about it, and back in November, his team is talking about it. And the rhetoric now seems to imply that you better prepare for it, because it seems to me that, it's so bad in California right now. They're turning away heart attack patients, I heard on the radio this morning. I'm like, come on, that's just not true. It is not true.
Matt, the thing that I saw that I thought is the whole 2 mask thing. Did you see this?
No.
You're supposed to wear 2 masks now. 2 masks work better than 1, apparently. I don't even want you to go there. Don't even go. I'll pull you back. The other thing that I saw,
I got 1 mask on. I got a mask diaper, and I got a mask diaper in my pants. That's what I say to
that. It depends.
What
kind of mask do you wear? It depends on where I'm going. Anyway, the other one was the another study coming about ivermectin, Matt. Ivermectin, a anti parasitic drug that's been around forever, seems to be fairly bulletproof as it respect to especially not protecting you from getting the virus if you're on the drug. Anyway, I don't know. I'm so sick of this story too. I could puke. Matt, myself, I'm going to go enjoy the sunshine. Hopefully there's some sun shining up on Mount Bachelor. I'm going to get my turns in, because there doesn't seem to be much to do in the markets. And I'm going to stop and get some beef consomme. I already have a wonderful rye whiskey here, distilled right here in the either Washington or Oregon. By the way, again, back to your pocketbook. The only way the globalistic thing changes if we just stop literally buying into it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could just do an evaluation of your life on what you really need that comes from China, the Pakistan t-shirts from Amazon are fairly good though. But We all get to make these decisions
Well,
every day.
that's because we gave them 150 million for gender studies in Pakistan.
It was only 50 million because
Whatever.
150 it would have been overkill on gender studies. Again, another thing that the cat is out of the bag. It's never going back. I don't know if we'll ever get accountability, and up is down, down is up. I just saw the Fed's balance sheet went from 700 billion to 7 trillion since 07. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what that means. I'm beyond knowing. All I can do is pay attention to the chart, Matt.
Hey,
so
Bob,
please join us.
All I got to tell you is 9:35. 9:35. The chart, the webcams were updated. When are we going?
I'm heading up. I already have my suspenders on. All right. Listen, please join us at marketvitals.io. We are a growing community of traders looking for honest and actionable accountability around trade ideas, profit and loss. Please join the community.
Check us out on Spotify, Stitcher, all your podcast channels. Look for Market Vitals. Like us, encourage us. And if you have any questions, send us emails. We always like it.
Matt, please, not Matt. Matt does this anyway. All of you out there, please share the video. I really appreciate that. Again, let's engage and let's make some money in 2021. I'm all for it.
Amen.
All right, Matt. Thank you.